Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. What a hectic day in the Call of Duty world. Everything was going down today. We had the drama on the timeline, some crazy matchups, so much to dive into. Very much intrigued your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. All that good stuff. Without further ado, we've got to crack on because this morning we talked about the whole Havoc, Crimsix situation. Crimsix believed that after they kind of talked to Havoc and said, look, we might want to bring you onto the team, Havoc had then gone to Clay, kind of told him what went down behind the scenes. Now, well, Havoc says this actually isn't even true. Clayster reached out to me before I ever talked to him in Hydra, so I heard him out, always trying to paint me as the bad guy. So Havoc saying, look, Crim's just trying to do this false narrative. We're like a false narrative here in the COD community. And Crim says like, look, my bad, apologies. All I know is the next day versus Florida, something was severely off and weird. So I guess he was kind of reading into the fact that like at the next day, the vibes when they got on to play Florida, right, the scrims they had before, they were not feeling the same as they were the day before. Therefore, Crim kind of thought Havoc might have said something to Clayster after their call. Now, of course, like Clayster isn't just going to sit here and lie down and take this one. He then says the following: people just be saying whatever now, huh? Just so annoying how people can be so petty for literally no reason, spewing complete falsities to steal whatever asinine narrative that's being created. 5 months until I'm an unrestricted free agent at worst. I guess at worst it's the 5 months until he gets released from New York, potentially before then, right, if he gets bought out by another team, or who knows, and I'll let you all know what exactly happens. So, well, that's the thing. Crimsix is saying this, Clayster's saying that. Like, these guys, they're world champions alongside each other. You know, we thought they kind of get on, and we know the way these personalities work. When there's conflict within a team, things are going to clash. I honestly didn't think things would brew over to the point where we've got beef starting to hit the timeline again between these two guys, but well, apparently that's exactly what went down. So Crimsix, I guess, saw this and was like, well, hang on a second, he's just subtweeting me, right? So I guess I better do my own response here in the replies. Crim says the following: you brought up making a trade after stage 1. I didn't want to do it. You even brought it up in a way of saying it was got to be me to go. So Crim basically saying, look, you were trying to get rid of me from the team, you were coming up with potential teams, and so was I. Havoc clearly wanted to play with you because he could potentially bring Kismet along, which I respected. Then he goes on to say, I barely even talked about you on stream yesterday, and I even did it in a positive light. There's no need to subtweet me, just text me if you want to talk about these things. That's the kind of thing where you'd imagine that these guys, given the history they have together, the respect I'm sure they still have for each other to some degree, they would just deal with this stuff behind the scenes. But of course, it's the COD community, therefore it all goes on Twitter, we all get to enjoy it and talk about it. Now, well, as Clay says, don't make up random stuff and say it publicly then. I don't even know what you're talking about with your tweet. I'm talking about whatever Havoc story you created in your head, painting the guy to be the bad guy when he literally did nothing wrong, which has nothing to do with you, says Crim in the reply. I already apologized to Havoc, which we just saw, but I do have proof that he relayed our private conversation, me, Paco, Javid, that being the coach, of course, Dareel, and Colt, that being Havoc, to you. The when is the only thing I don't know about. That's all I said on stream. That's where it ends, at least for now. Better just like this reply real quick. But yeah, that's of course what happened on the timeline before the day even kicked off in terms of matches. So I mean, yeah, look, we saw the Havoc thing earlier today. He now reckons that's not fully true, but it's Crimsix does still believe that this kind of happened. Just the kind of chronology here and what order things happened might be somewhat different to what Crimsix originally thought. But like, who would have thought, right, given the start of the season, the excitement with Crim and Clay getting back together, they're just like a month or so in, like a couple of months into the season, we've got to them airing beef again on the timeline. So, you know, like, it's sad to see these guys like kind of bicker and fight. Like, hopefully make everything up and it's all okay. Maybe they're talking it out in DMs behind the scenes. Who knows? But I'm sure there was some conflict behind the scenes anyway, because either one of them was going to stay, one of them was going to go. That's going to create a little bit of friction, no doubt. And it turns out Crimsix stays, Clay goes. Maybe when Clay becomes the unrestricted free agent as he talked about, then he'll be able to reveal even more stuff about this. Who knows what's going to happen? Intrigued to hear your thoughts on that one in the comment section below. We've got to talk about these games. A very interesting set of matches, no doubt. So before it even kicks off, turns out Bance was under the weather. He tested positive. So, I mean, yeah, it happened to CleanX a few days ago as well, right? So not the most ideal situation by any means at all. But well, they go into game 1. They lose game 1 again. Toronto, we have to talk about their hard points. I'll actually save my kind of rant on this after the game 4. They lose the game 1 on Bokaj, I believe. Jimbo has some just insane, honestly, his engagement stats this series are ridiculous. They go into a game 2. Ultra just managed to get the job done here. Honestly, Insider, still the clutch factor seems to be there for Ultra. But if they can't win a hard point, it doesn't really matter if you're good at 2-3-5, because occasionally you're not going to win 2, 3, or 5, especially against the better teams. And even against Paris, it doesn't work out. Fair play to Paris though. Like, honestly, I wanted to give a massive shout out really to Temp and John to some degree. Just the fact that Temp, given the situation, like, he could have got all bitter, right, and frustrated. This is the only team he's getting, right? He feels like he deserves a better opportunity, but he's got his head down. He's working hard. He's dropping insane numbers. He's trying to build up the rest of his team. And Paris, all of a sudden, are actually a kind of a competitor here in this league, especially with Jimbo improving and not overchalling as much as he certainly was. Anyway, 1-1 at this point. Then it goes to control. Toronto take this one 2-1. You feel like, okay, they're going to close out this series. I predicted a 3-1 earlier today. I thought there's no way, surely they lose 2 hard points again to Paris. That is exactly what happens. If anything, they should have lost this one slightly more comfortably. But this Tuscan, this new P3 spawns, whatever they've done, are absolutely shambolic. Toronto tried to make the rotation. They should maybe have been able to lock it down, especially after the first wave of kills they got. But the spawns over at the roof sides, spawns on the other side of the map. Paris had like a perfect pinch onto this final hardpoint, and it's just enough for them to win a 252-48. I honestly thought that Ultra were going to make this comeback here and win the series 3-1. Doesn't happen though. Like one kill goes down in the back, and then all the spawns come in the roof side. Then there's still a split spawn. Bance is chasing one at the back of the map, and just about a Paris player manages to sneak into the hardpoint, get the one more second they require. 252-48, send it to a game 5, but still, previous Ultra, last year's Ultra, would still win this series. They always found a way, no matter if it was game 5, whatever, if when push came to shove, they would get over the line and win game 5s. This year, their game 5 record is surely nowhere near as good, because Paris effectively dominate the game 5 and take this series 3-2. Remarkable scenes. This is, well, terrible for Toronto, because they were 1-2 coming into a week against Paris and New York, expected to go 3-2 and still make it to winners. Now they're going to have to beat New York comfortably, and even then it's far from guaranteed they get to winners. They're not, I'm pretty sure, out of it yet, but I mean, this is not particularly good. 6-2 on the final map here on the Bocage, not what you expect from Ultra in a game 5 situation. I did say I was going to do a rant about the hardpoint, so I'll just do it now. They are 2-14 in their last 16 hardpoints, and those 2 victories came against Minnesota in their first match of this stage. If you go back to their final series that they played in stage 1 before the major, they lost their final map of hardpoint against Thieves, then they went 0-7 in hardpoint at the major, they won 2 maps against Minnesota, and since then they're 0-6. So if you exclude the Minnesota series, they're on a 14 loss streak in that game mode, and that's just not going to get you over the line against anyone. So questions are going to be raised here. What do they do? Credit to Paris, they're like, you don't want to take anything away from them, because Temp played fantastic, so did Gravity. John, I think, had way more impact than his .99 really gives credit to, and Jimbo has a casual 218 engagements. This guy does not have a slow down button, and when it works very effectively. So Toronto have to consider what to do, whether a change could be made there. Didn't think I'd be saying that going into the season, especially after they won the Kickoff Classic. Another team that certainly will have to consider something or other is the Los Angeles Thieves. A great day to run it up, they say, but yeah, didn't really work out all that well along these lines. Game 1 was the Asim show, right? What a player this guy is for this team. Huke had he was 23 and 23, Huke was. Asim was doing all the work in terms of kills. He got an insane 3-piece towards the end as well to even try and open this game up for them. I'm pretty sure it's coming up right here, actually, when Asim just pops a crazy 3-piece. They get some time, they make the rotation happen, and Thieves, from being practically undefeatable on hardpoint at the start of the year, that was just disgusting, especially on Gavutu. They lose this game, they also lose the game 4, so despite having turned their search and destroy around, at least their game 2 search and destroy, their hardpoints have now fallen off a cliff. They lose game 1, Asim just dominates it, 40-27 or whatever we went this game 1, and of course this was kind of Slasher and Huke's revenge tour up against Los Angeles Thieves. Game 2 though goes the way of Thieves. Don't really know what LAG were doing here in the round 11. They had a good chance to plant that A bomb in the new position it finds itself in, but I think both bomb planters planted in a bit of a questionable spot. Both got taken down. Eventually the round goes the way. Envoy clutches a nice round, 12-5 he went on this one, and then honestly this control was just pathetic from Los Angeles Guerrillas. Don't know what they were playing at here. They kept trying to get this B point, but they just didn't cap A, and obviously capture ticks are very crucial now because kills don't matter all that much in control anymore, because finally they changed it so that round 5 is actually determined by who captures the most ticks on their offenses rather than just who has the most kills. So LAG, I don't know why they didn't just cap A when they had the chance to. LA Thieves get defense round 5, they take it, and at this point I think, okay, there's surely no way LA Thieves are going to lose 2 hard points in the series. Probably they're going to close this one out. Not what happens at all. Again, it's at some point LA Thieves had a significant advantage here, but once again it's the rest of the guys showing up pretty big, and just the ice factor from Thieves is that we've known it's non-existent, but it once again proves to be non-existent. Goes game 5, and as soon as it goes game 5, you just kind of know what's going to happen, right? Because Thieves in game 5 as of late have not been good to behold, and they get demolished game 5. 6-1, there was a few kind of clutch moments, but Gunless had a nice little 1v1 at one point. There was a 2v4 as well that LAG clutched. They really shouldn't have done. In fairness, I think the only round Thieves won was a 2 versus 4 when they had the bomb down over towards that A bomb site. But Thieves with another tragic defeat. That's now 4-0 for LAG over LA Thieves in their history as an organization. Last year they were 3-0. Still, Thieves have yet to beat LAG in the derby, and that also means Thieves are now 0-4 this stage. That guarantees them a spot, I believe, in the losers brackets. As Sasha says, beat Los Angeles Thieves. It became personal with me. He wanted to get his own back. That's exactly what he did. And he also goes on to tweet this as well at the at the dartboard, throwing blind at the dartboard, because that's kind of what he said last year to JCap and to the coaching staff there, was that they just made brain dead decisions, and it was not a good idea to bench him, and I was kind of getting his own back and saying, look, don't bench me, or this is what I'll do to you in a crucial series like this. So, incredible stuff. Thieves lose again. Just the ice is not there, and even when they look good, they still look very vulnerable. I don't know what's happened to this team. The revenge tour complete across the board now for the players for Los Angeles these Guerrillas guys. Respectable stuff from them, they'll be in the winners brackets. But yeah, Thieves, definitely not the case. As Nadeshot says, rough stretch for the Thieves. We're going to work hard to get to the bottom of this, hopefully turn things around. Jacob even says the coach. Of course, there's so many questions. What's wrong with this team? Is it the players? Is it the coaching staff that's going wrong? Because as Jacob says, I'm working on it, right? And when Jacob's working on it, that more than likely means a roster change is in the works. But look at these stats, right? This is just downright outrageous if you're a Thieves fan looking at this. Like, I mean, yeah, to be fair, LAG pretty much slayed out across the board. Even the control that they lost, they still outslayed pretty dramatically. So these are kind of inflated to a degree, but like, it's just not really acceptable. Like when Envoy and Kenny are the two guys that are theorized to be the most likely to stay, they perform pretty well. Kenny again is decent to pretty good. Envoy definitely gets the job done on that SMG role. And then combined, Drazah and Octane are minus, what is this, 62 with like the least damage in the lobby. Like, yeah, just honestly, like you didn't think this was going to happen to Octane, did you, right? Coming into the season, a 0.65 against LAG, just not going to cut it, to be honest. Definitely intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm sure more discussions on this in the coming days. And thankfully, then no more crazy drama in the final series of the day, FaZe versus Florida Mutineers. An interesting one, right? Because FaZe obviously going 0-1 at the start up against Seattle Surge. They had to bounce back. Florida were 2-0 at a point here in stage 2, looking on a great trajectory to get into the winners brackets. They're still in not the worst position in the world, but certainly FaZe continuing their rampage here after losing. That's the thing. Whenever they lose, the next few series are usually a pretty tough time for their opposition. But yeah, I honestly was wondering whether we'd see Bakaj game 1 in this series. Turns out we did not. It was actually a Gavutu. And honestly, FaZe in the hardpoint as of late have looked very good indeed. That really is the most crucial game mode to me, right? If your hardpoint is lacking, we've seen it with the Ultra guys, we've seen it now with the Thieves since there's a fallen off. Like, I mean, you just look so much less complete as a team. FaZe, their respawns, of course, is where they really struggled against OpTic in the grand finals back at Major 1, and that seems to be really where they've turned a corner as of late. They beat Florida pretty comfortably this game 1. Go to a game 2, Florida actually bounce back here and win this Berlin Search and Destroy. Fair play to them. Maybe a map that FaZe are looking to get some more reps in, because I'm not sure their record on this one is particularly good. Florida take the job done here, and I thought it was just kind of funny, really. Florida tweeted out, shutting down those FaZe 3-0 predictions with an S&D win. Of course, when you see this, it kind of implies that FaZe are now going to win 3-1, just because they're not saying anything like, okay, yeah, we're going to turn this around, win the series. They'll be like, okay, we denied the 3-0, congratulations, everyone. Of course, that's not really enough at the end of the day, but that's exactly how the rest of the series worked out. Control, in theory, should be better now for FaZe than it was before, just because previously they were pretty good at slaying, but they were very good. I'm pretty sure they had the highest, like, ticks captured in the entire league, but didn't have that crazy control win streak that OpTic currently have, because they didn't always get the game 5s, because they wouldn't always get quite the kills that OpTic would get. Now, of course, the defense round 5 wasn't really applicable here, is determined by how many ticks you capture. This time around, FaZe doing an offense, they taken in the round 4 defense, that's job done for FaZe, but still, in theory, going forwards, FaZe should get significantly better, at least to some degree, based on this control change, which has finally arrived. So good news for FaZe, maybe they can get to some degree close to their control form they had last year. And the final map of the series, it was on Bakaj. We did go here eventually. We know that FaZe and Florida both like this map. Early on, FaZe had a massive advantage here, actually, and Florida clawed their way back, and I thought for a time they were going to get back into this one. Dave Penny had some good moments, but again, in the end, FaZe just too strong. They close out both hardpoints, they win all the respawns, and that's job done. That's honestly a pretty big, important series victory for the FaZe guys, just because looking at this series, they'll bring a lot of confidence from that, right? They know their search and destroy, they can work on strats, all this type of stuff, but winning all 3 respawns against Florida is pretty impressive, especially in Florida's recent form, puts them in a good position to potentially battle OpTic, where they struggled in those game modes last time out. Final series stats, courtesy of BreakingPoint.gg, Cellium leading the line with the 1.40, not the prettiest series on the other side from Skies and Vivid, but not quite breaking Octane's KD record for the day. Very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting a like button tells the YouTube gods this is a good video, others like you should see it as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.